Hi, this is Denise Matthew. Hope you're doing well. Back again for another week of the transits. We have a full moon happening this week, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of the forecast. So I'll also leave a timestamp. So if you just want to jump ahead to listen to the full moon, you can do that. We do have a couple of themes that we had in the new moon repeating. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Other than that, we have a few planets moving, and Mercury is slowing down because we do have it going retrograde on the 27th of this month. And it will be retrograding in three particular gates, and I'll talk about those a little bit later. And the Mandala of Life continues, and I'm doing daily updates and posts on the community page. So if you're interested, please check that out. And other than that, let's get into the transits. The same themes are continuing on until about Wednesday with the sun and the earth. The sun is in the gate 47 and the earth is in the gate 22. I did talk about the gate 47 last week, but I'll just quickly go over it again. The gate 47 is an awareness gate. As soon as we have an awareness gate, we're going to have some kind of anxiety when it comes to the ajna, where the gate 47 is. This would be considered a mental anxiety. The mental anxiety is not understanding the sequences that you could be getting, the downloads that you're getting, even things like super consciousness connection, just not understanding what it all means. The gate 47 is meant to filter through the information and sort of give you some aha moments or realizations about what exactly all those downloads are actually meaning for you in your life. The other thing about the gate 47, it is called oppression, which is a kind of a strong word when you think about it. But I think if you look at it as something that you can work with, instead of letting it work against you, then that is when you can get the clarity that this energy can definitely bring you. This is an energy that requires patience, because even though we get these big downloads, we don't necessarily know when they're going to get the clarity that we're looking for. Like I've said this a few times, it's like you get a movie and the movie is not in order and it's all these different sequences. And so you don't know what part goes where and what comes first, what comes last, and that type of thing. So what this does is the gate 47 puts it all together. There's also the concept of the gate 47, and there is some mindset with it as well. Now we're talking about the mindset. We're talking about this concept of seeing the good things in life or seeing the not good things in life, feeling oppressed by life or feeling like you have freedom within your life. And those are the keys with this energy, because we can have this kind of within ourselves, this feeling of never really kind of having a good life, never really getting ahead, never really having the good things that everybody else has. And so when that happens, because this is truly powerful energy, and that how it is almost like it's translating our images of what we feel is possible for us. It's translating it in a way that it is expressing itself in the reality of our life. And so if we think that the gate 64 is connected to super consciousness and the gate 47 is translating it for us, and all we're translating is the low side of it, in that we're feeling oppressed, or we're feeling that we're not getting ahead, we're not going to get ahead, things are never going to get better, then many times that's what we're seeing in the world. It's an unconscious capability of looking at the things that didn't work in your life or looking at the things that did. And that's where we get this concept of mindset. And when you see the difference, when you see that you're looking for the good things in your life, as opposed to looking for all the times that things didn't work out or people were standing in your way. So when you have this energy of the gate 47, there's a particular theme a lot of times that will come with you with it. It will say, okay, this is your theme. I knew somebody had this gate 47 who their theme was abundance and money. So as soon as they started to feel that they didn't have enough money, they had anxiety about the money, mental anxiety, right? Gate 47, they started to see their money dwindle. They didn't get the money that they needed, or the bills weren't getting paid, those types of things. But as soon as they started to let go of that anxiety, to let go of the mind spin that could actually pull them into this vortex of worrying that things were not going to work out, then it was actually what they were attracting was abundance. I did do a whole video on mindset and also the law of attraction with the gate 47. I'll leave the link below, but that was all just kind of a hypothesis that I had, and I just kind of made a video about it. I do believe that there is a lot of ability to actually see things shift in our reality by how we are perceiving the world around us. And I think that if you look at the law of attraction, or you look at a lot of different things that people do to mindset, to kind of look at the bright side of things. That does not mean rose-colored glasses or a Pollyanna look at the world. If we're open to receive good things and not always expecting things that we don't want to come into our reality, can that actually attract more of the things that we want in our life? And that's a question that we can ask ourselves. And from this perspective, if we look at every single one of the gates that are in the mandala have a polarity or an opposition. So in other words, if we have the gate 47, we know that we also have the gate 22 in the earth. So when we look at the gate 22, that's meeting Neptune, but it's also talking to this idea of grace and how can we gracefully move through the challenges of our life? How can we have that ability to have grace in our life, to pull grace into our life? So if you combine that with the gate 47, this mindset, and you think about the mindset can bring grace into your life. That's part of your gift, you could say, this ability to look at things in a more open way so that you can pull in the better things. And we also have Venus just moving into the gate 28, and that's moving in on the 13th of September. And we also have Mercury in the gate 57. The thing about Mercury, as I said before, is that it is actually slow. It's moving quite slowly right now, and it will be transiting the same 3 gates for the whole of the Mercury retrograde. And what's happening now is we have a lot of the planets, which would be Mars, Mercury, and also Venus, and also the sun coming up, all going to be moving through the splenic gates. So when we talk about the splenic gates, we're talking about an instinctive fear. This is a fear that you could say is one of our oldest fears that we have. This is about survival. It's like a fight or flight kind of feeling. And because this is an instinctive fear, this is no longer as necessary as it was years ago. And what that means is that because we have a safer environment. And I'm not saying that everybody in the world has a safe environment. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are living in very unsafe environments. In many of the places in the world, you live in a safe environment. And yet this fear that you have from the splenic gates can make it feel like a life or death situation. There's also intuition with this energy as well. So the instinct is combined with the intuition. Because of that, there is a benefit, but there's also this underlying anxiety or this fear of, what is coming for me? Is it going to be horrible? And this is also an awareness. This gives us some information about how things work or what's actually happening. So there is a benefit to it, but we have to also work with the idea that there is this underlying concept of being fearful or having some fear about something. And the thing about the splenic energies is that they are the ones that we can push through, because the spleen is something that comes in the moment, and it's a very quick kind of intuition that comes and then it goes. We can also push through those energies if we work at it. I did a whole video on all the splenic gates, the fears of the spleen. I'll leave the link below. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, I also did a whole video on anxiety of the mind as well. And that's about all the ajna gates and the anxieties that they can bring. The thing about these energies is when we know what we're dealing with, then it makes it easier, because we can see those fears that are coming up inside of us and say, okay, that's not true. That's not real. I don't need to put a lot of energy into that. But if we don't know, and we just get these kind of sporadic kinds of hits of anxiety, or these hits of like a penetrating fear, like, oh, I'm scared about the future, and that's the gate 57, or I'm scared about the past, the gate 44. If you don't have a concept of what exactly that means for you, why is that coming up, and how much credence does it have? Is there intuition wrapped around it? And there is. So kind of, you could say, going through the muddy waters and trying to find some clarity, which you will find. But as soon as you get in a state of anxiety or a state of fear, then that kind of pulls you out of the ability to kind of get some intuitive hits from this energy. The reason why I'm talking about these energies is because Mercury is going to be transiting through these three particular splenic gates. It's from now until November 3rd. So it's a while. So working through these energies, working through these anxieties, working through these fears is something that we can actually do during this time to actually maybe get a handle on this energy. So we know that it's going to be the gate 32, the gate 48, and also the gate 57. So if we go through them one by one, we know that the gate 48 is this concept of inadequacy and not feeling that you have enough information, or you've done enough of your homework, you could say, to actually show the world what you have to give. This is half of the line of talent. So it is this idea that you need to go to the depth of things, to go into the, like when you think about the gate 48, we think about going into the depths, going into the pool of knowledge, finding out everything you can. But the reality is you have to come back out of that pool. So you go in and you get all the depth you need, and then you come back out, let it integrate, and then you can go back in. Sometimes we can get so obsessed with this information that we need to get more and more and more. And we never want to get out of the gate 48. We never want to get out of the depth. We never want to get out of the pool. And that's where we get to this point of this inadequacy. Will we ever have enough? Is it ever going to be enough? And am I enough? And those are big themes. So what this says is that most times when you have this energy, you're going to have the depth. You're going to have all those things that you want because you're actually interested in it. It's something you want to study. But then there's also this concept that, yes, you can actually move out into the world. You will be accepted for what you have to say. The thing about the gate 48, it is the well. And a lot of times we are drawing on the well by it just comes out. It just kind of pours out of us, just like water. We will start to talk about something, and suddenly everything that we have sort of been studying, going to the depth of, will just kind of flow out of us. So that's something to keep in mind when we have the gate 48. The gate 57 is, of course, looking at the future and being concerned about what the future will bring. And the thing about intuition is this idea that we never really get a full picture of what exactly is going to come in the future, or this very seldom. I'm not saying that nobody ever gets a full picture, but I am saying that a lot of people don't get a full picture of exactly what's coming in the future. They have this concept of what they think might happen, but they only get part of the picture. A lot of times there's symbolism. A lot of times there could be an acoustic connection with the gate 57. This is part of the integration circuit. So this is also something that works better when it's all connected. And we are going to have a lot of those pieces to the puzzle this week because we do have the 3420 and the 57 activated. So we have a lot of the integration circuit. This is the intuition that tells us about our survival. But as any of the splenic gates do. But the thing about this is like I said, it could be symbols that you're getting, and maybe you're not reading them exactly as they're going to show up. And in the future, you could have a theme of what was going to happen, but maybe you misunderstood it, and maybe it was much better than you had ever planned or expected. It's all about being open to what we receive, being open to the intuition, and just watching what shows up, and kind of developing that intuitive muscle of your intuition to start to see what symbols mean for you. What does this mean? Like, everybody has a different way of interpreting what we get for these intuitive hits, figuring out what exactly works for us. And when you do that, then that fear can be diminished, and you can move forward into the future without this anxiety that things are going to just go bad. The last one is the gate 32, and that is about this anxiety about worrying that things are not going to work out, that your big plans are not going to work out. And I think that if we look at this as it is a tribal energy, and as soon as we get into tribal energy, we're talking about resources. We're talking about getting up the ladder of life, trying to have better resources for our family, have better resources for the tribe or whoever matters to us, or even for ourselves. And this is about kind of wanting to run in the circles of people that you feel are like the winners, or the people that are doing well in life. If we look at this energy and say everything should happen right away, instead of looking at anything that we build in this world as building it one brick at a time, one step at a time, actually moving forward. And every time we're moving forward, we're going into a new opportunity that is most times going to take us to one level up. And to see that life is about taking those steps and leveling up as we go, because that's part of it, and understanding that we will eventually reach the goals that we want to. It's also about understanding that it takes time, and everybody has a different trajectory in their life. Everybody has a different way and a different experience of how and when their goals are going to be achieved, and seeing that it's wide open for when your goals are going to be achieved, and looking for the markers that are saying, yes, you are getting ahead, and yes, things are better than they used to be, or you're ahead of where you used to be. It's you against you. It's not you against anybody else. It's always going to be you against you. So those are the types of themes that Mercury is going to be working with. This week, Mercury is going to be in the gate 32 and the gate 57. So you can keep those themes in mind as you're going through. If you have the anxiety about the future or anxiety about maybe you're being a failure, plans not working out, those types of things. Venus is in the gate 28. This is another splenic gate. So if we look at the gate 28, we're looking at this concept of not feeling like all the challenges that we have to push through in our world are of any value. But if we look at the gate 28, there's this duality as with all the fear gates or the splenic gates. The duality says that this is a can-do energy. Anybody who carries this energy is a person that if you say they can't do it, they will tell you they can, and they'll prove you wrong. This is the gate of possible. Are the struggles the building blocks of our lives where we're actually stepping over each one of these struggles and moving into greener pastures. The struggles shape us. They make us who we are. Some of the most evolved people in the world are the people who have had some of the most difficult terrain in their lives. And because of that, they've become who they are. You could say that the struggle's too much. It's we can't do it. But the reality is we're all equipped for it. We're all equipped for the struggles that are going to come in our path, whether we believe it or not. And that's the thing. It's always going to be a choice that we can make to push through the struggles, to push through those things that are difficult in our lives, those challenges, and to get on the other side and go, wow, I mean, I didn't even know if I could do that, but I actually did. And to feel proud because you actually did do it. You actually did get to the other side. And many times you probably didn't think you could, but you actually did. It's a resilience. It's a push to move forward. And each struggle makes us stronger. It makes us a better person overall. Which is going to be Mars is going to be in the gate 46 for pretty much the whole of the week, and that is really about, I talked about it last week, this idea of the gate 46, which is serendipity, good luck. You could be being in the right place at the right time. But the other thing about this is with Mars, it's sort of looking at everything already being settled, as in everything's been signed on the dotted line, but maybe it hasn't necessarily happened. The key here is that good things can happen, things can open up, and we can get benefits showing up in our reality. But the most important part of it is to see that we have some tangible results, as opposed to just expecting the tangible results and going out and actually spending money that we haven't actually got a check for instance, and then realizing that maybe the check is delayed or we're not going to get as much as we want it to, or something like that. So getting the tangible result, getting the check in the mail, if that's what's happening, and getting something that is actually going to be something that you can hold in your hand. And then from that, you can work with that. We're going to start out with Mercury in the gate 57 for the first part of the week. And then Wednesday, it's going to move into the gate 32. And we talked about that. So this is conversation about people feeling like they're not getting ahead, or wondering if they're going to get ahead, potentially talking about being not getting your goals met, those types of things. Now, remember, Saturn is in the gate 41 now, and it's saying you can do this, but you have to work with what you have. In other words, make do with what you have. What can you do in this moment with what you have? So that can sort of work with the energy of the gate 32. You want to have those goals. You want those things to move forward in life. What do you have in this moment that you can actually work with? And eventually maybe you'll have more resources, but right now this is what you have. And so let's use what you have and see what you can make out of it. Also on Wednesday, we have the sun moving into the gate 6, and we also have the earth moving into gate 36. So we talk about the sun moving into the gate 36. This is an energy that is it's connected to the 59. This is about procreation, the people that you meet. And this is about you could say this is the place where you are accepting intimacy, or you're accepting people, the intimacy of other people. This can be about conflict resolution. This can be about finding a solution, seeing things on the same page as other people. The energy of the gate 6 is the energy of making sacrifices for your family, going out and doing the job that you don't love, but because you know that you have to support your family, you go out and you make those sacrifices for the family. That's the type of energy that this can be. This is very tribal. This is about connecting with other people. And there is an emotional component to this, because this is thinking about who you want to align with and who you don't want to align with, who you want to have as your friend or your lover. There's going to be some work to get on the same page. It's not something like everybody's going to sit down and go, oh yes, that's exactly what we want to do. Everybody's exactly on the same page and everything's, perfect. It isn't like that. It's like the type of thing that you actually have to hammer through the details. You have to work with other people. You have to come to a consensus. This is something that there's effort behind this concept of getting a resolution. It doesn't come easily, but when it does come, it is worthwhile. And we look at that gate 36 being in the earth, that we see that this is grounding us in this energy of a new experience. And, this is actually called crisis, but this is, again, crisis resolution. So we look at the gate 6 as conflict resolution, and we look at the gate 36 as crisis resolution in the manifest earth. So we might see things pop up, but then we could also see things start to get things getting solved. This is inexperience. So whenever we're in an inexperienced situation and we don't know all the details, then that is exactly when we can make mistakes, you could say, or things that didn't go as planned, because we don't actually know what's happening. This is experiential energy. This is jumping into opportunities, but not necessarily thinking your way into it before you actually jump in. This is also the idea of the greener grass. So what this is saying is, this week we might have this idea that maybe we want to just jump ship. We don't like our job anymore. We don't want to get the resolution. We're getting tired of working this job, or having to do these sacrifices, and we just want to go somewhere else, and it's going to be better immediately. But what this is saying is that, as soon as you're jumping ship, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is going to be better. Anything where you're jumping in, and you're not using your strategy, and you're just deciding immediately on inspiration to do something differently, it may work out, but there is potential that it's not going to. Figuring out what is right for you to do and what isn't right for you to do, because when we're talking about the gate 36 in the earth, that is what we're grounding into, but that's also something that we're in the world doing. We're actually making things happen in the world, active moments where we're moving into something new very quickly and without much thought. But there is potential to get exciting experiences, new things. And if we look at it as, yes, we're going to jump into something new, fine, do it. But also remember that there is potential for things to not work to plan. And if you're open to that and you don't have expectations on how it's all going to shake up, then absolutely. This is a time that you can actually jump into something new or go into something new. And Saturday, we have Venus moving into the gate 44. And this is, again, another splenic gate. And this is talking to this idea of worried that the past is going to repeat itself. Some things that have happened in the past. Now, when we think about Venus, we're talking about relationships, things about money, things about resources, things that didn't work out the way you wanted them to work out. This is a pattern that potentially you could say that you have in relationships, and you're concerned that it's going to happen again. The gate 44, there's a potential to see patterns in a lot of things and be very good at seeing patterns. And just as much as we can imagine that the patterns that we didn't want to happen are going to repeat, we could also look at this idea of new patterns just showing up. So there is potential for new patterns to come into our reality. We can make a conscious effort to start to begin new patterns, to start new ways of how we interact in relationships, or how we interact with money, or those types of things. So if we look at the full moon, it's going to be happening on September 21st. This is going to be happening in the gate 25, line 1. The gate 25 is the love of spirit. So this is one of the love gates. And then we could see also that the sun is in the gate 46. It's another love gate. Again, we're talking about serendipity and the love of the flesh, or the love of the body, understanding that our body is a temple of our soul. Taking care of our body and our physical health and physicality of any kind is just as important as our spirituality. And the other part is the spirituality. The 25 is this concept of the love of spirit. And this is about being kind of finding the love of spirit within ourselves. There is some learning about who we are, and kind of taking a look at the parts of us that maybe we don't actually want to look at. And by doing that, we do grow in some way, or we do evolve. This is about motiveless actions, or the actions that we do without motivation, the actions that we do because we want to contribute in some way. So this is what this is talking about. The full moon is talking about, what are we doing without motive? And then If we add the gate 46 in it, I think that it's pretty interesting how it's this whole idea of, I talk about this a lot, is this creativity just for creativity's sake, and to actually just be creative because it feels good for you. And what this is saying is that you're discovered with the gate 46, you're going to be discovered for your talent or your creativity or what you're doing for art, or for art's sake, it's called, where you're just basically doing something you love, and you are actually being discovered for it because of you just doing it. And I think that's really interesting, that there is potential for people to be discovered, for people to see that someone has this kind of ability. They're actually walking in the world in a way where you're not looking for the end game. You're looking to actually express who you are, your authenticity, not really have any motive behind it other than just because it makes you feel good. So if you look at that perspective, what this is saying is just be yourself. Just allow yourself to be where you want to be, to do what you want to do, to express yourself in the way you want to express yourself. And by being yourself authentically, you're more likely to be in the right place at the right time. So things will actually work out well for you. So we also have Mercury in the gate 32, which is this idea of wanting to get ahead, but wanting to see that endurance is the thing that we need to keep doing. We need to keep pushing forward. And we did talk about this idea of this fear of potentially not meeting the goals that you want to. But what this is saying is that if you're just doing what you love, that makes you feel good, that you have a passion for, then already you're ahead of the game. There's more potential for you to be in the right place at the right time, to be seen and acknowledged for what you can do, if you're actually just doing something from this place of passion, as opposed to the place of ambition or goals to get ahead. And that's what it's basically saying. There's potential for things to actually manifest and unfurl in a completely different way with this full moon, because we are coming to the culmination. So what this is saying is that, allow that passion within you to grow, to do something that makes you feel good because it makes you feel good. And with Neptune in the gate 22, that's only adding more fuel to that concept of just expressing yourself in a creative way because it makes you feel good. And because it makes you feel good, that's a reward in itself. But there is potential for even more rewards to come from the outside world, in the manifest world. There might be some miracles that will show up in your reality. And that is it for the transits this week. And I hope you have a wonderful full moon and a wonderful week. And I will be back again next week. Until then, take care, and I'll see you soon.